How's it? Today is Friday, November 7th. It is Big Friday yet again. Today was good. Today was really great with all things considered. I basically did the same numbers today that I did last week. Well, mostly. And I think that that's perfectly fine. I've made a lot of progress on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And so if I hit the same numbers today that I did last week, I've made the progress already on the earlier days in the week, and my body feels like it has. It's experiencing new things. So that's a positive, right? If I look back, Monday was a little bit heavier on the overhead work, a little bit heavier on the block power snatches. Those were a bit challenging, but heavier is heavier. Tuesday, I started my 5-3-1 for the back squat and my overhead press, and I feel very stiff. I will definitely feel very stiff on Wednesday. Felt pretty stiff yesterday, and I'm feeling a little bit today, but that is a good sign. It's like I'm doing things that my body isn't accustomed to, right? And then on Wednesday, I did the block power cleans, so those are still easy, but I still went up in weight, so that is something to think about, right? And then my clean deadlifts were super heavy. I did go up in weight on that. I'm at 151, and that is like a ton of progress over the last few weeks. So for me to be able to hit the same numbers today with all of the extra work that I've already put in, it's a good sign, and I am definitely here for it. So yeah, snatches today were kind of, the goal was at around 80. Try my best to just lift well, move well, be pretty, feel healthy, and that is the goal that I had set out for myself. So if I was not feeling super great at around 80, or look at that, super funny. At around 80, if things didn't feel super good, then I would have just stopped and moved on. And I'm glad that it was pretty nice. Here's 80, so I just kept pushing up. So 80, 85, 90, and then 95. And, I think that some of these were a little bit better than others. That was a strange double bounce with this 85, but it feels like, I felt when I was warming up, like, pretty slow. And that is not always the worst sign in the world, but I was able to overcome that and lift, like, pretty well. All things considered, I'm very happy with how today went. So here's my 95. I think the thing that has been helping me out a lot is trying to be a little bit more aggressive in the catch, and trying to just really, like, not necessarily punch my arms, because I don't feel like I ever do punch the arms. I feel like I'm just trying to be, from point of extension to point of fixation, just be quicker through that range of motion. And that sometimes might mean that my wrist goes from extreme flexion to extreme extension, and that is usually, that's like a space where my elbow starts to get really, really, really unhappy. And I guess for a few years at this point, things have been trending towards being a little bit softer through that range of motion because of those elbow issues. But I mean, I've not had any run-ins with elbow pain for the last, like, I don't know, 7 months, something like that. So I'm pretty okay with trying to be a little bit more aggressive through that again. Um, if you've never watched my videos, but I had a ulnar collateral ligament tear in my left elbow, like, very long time ago, in like 2015, something like that. When I was, maybe it was 2016, but it was like when I was preparing for my first meet. I was trying to snatch 225, so 102, but it was in pounds, and I ended up popping at my elbow, and it just kind of never went away since then. So that is definitely something that I think about a lot. For these clean and jerks, my cleans were okay. I feel like I could have been faster or get to extension a little bit better at the hip. But I think that aggression, trying to get under the bar, was actually really helpful. and these jerks were solid. They were so much better than last week, and they inspired a lot of confidence in me. And so that is another positive, right? The difference in quality of rep is important to think about, because if I clean and jerked 120 last week and it wasn't very convincing, which it wasn't, then if I do the same weight but it's easier, or I execute better, or what, a whole slew of things that quality wise indicate a better movement, then that is also progress. The progress doesn't need to be measured in the actual weight on the bar. Progress can be measured in so many ways. But here is some progress on the bar. Here's 130, which last week I did 125 for 2. This one was actually a lot more challenging than I expected it to be, but I stuck with it and I was able to make the rep, and I'm super happy with that, But yeah, going back to like progress could be like overall like a mentality, like how do I feel today? If the weights on the bar like are not as high, but I feel better, does that mean that I'm making progress towards my goal? In a lot of cases, yes, because my goal right now is to feel better. So if I'm pushing weight on the bar and the weight goes up, but I feel worse, does that mean that I'm making progress towards my goal? In a way, yeah. Like my goal is to feel better, but also my goal has never been not to improve the numbers on the bar. So like so many ways you can spin a perspective, and I'm pretty happy with how today went. Again, all things considered, um, yeah, this is exciting for me. It's exciting once again. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Shoots.